and welcome back to the Unshakable Soul Podcast. My name is Sophia with Masikat, and I'm your host here. We are on episode 90, and I have for you a monologue about the thematic of relationships. So juicy. Always juicy to talk about relationships. But more specifically, today I want to bring forward subtle ways in which you may be giving your power away in relationships. Now, this has come about because a lot of women that I work with, this thematic is coming through, especially now, in this day and age, in this moment in time. I'm recording this May 7th, 2026, and I feel that there's a fire in many women, this enough is enough. And this is being supported by the astrology, of course. That's why I want to share with you this conversation. And the way it's going to go is I'll first start by opening up and sharing a little bit about what's actually going on and what I'm seeing out there. And then I'll go into the pattern. What's actually causing this. And then I'll get deeper into the very real, raw, energetic of power. And we'll look at the distorted version of power and also the divine version of power that we're all inevitably being called into. And as always, I like to wrap up with simple practices. I think today I have 3 that you can take home with you should they call to you and speak to you to start implementing in your daily life. All right, and I believe I have some little journaling prompts at the end. We'll see for time. I tried to keep these at 30 minutes, but we never know what's going to happen. All right, so let's begin. This dynamic I often see in women I work with. Maybe you'll recognize yourself in it. I know I certainly have lived it myself in my own relationship. Is that women tend to love deeply. We're wired for a connection. We care deeply. A lot of women are deeply empathetic. We're just wired that way. We see and feel things that maybe men don't see and feel. Okay, it's not to say that men are bad, that women are better. Just the simple fact that we're wired differently. Our nature. And we tend to devote ourselves. When we open our hearts, we're devoted, we're in. Okay, so this is very vulnerable for us to have an open heart in relationship. And when I speak of relationship, yes, I'll be speaking more towards the romantic relationship, but you can also take this conversation in any other type of relationship that you feel maybe resonates more for you right now in your life. Okay, this is not set in stone things. Like, I don't hold the truth. Okay, only you hold your own truth. And what tends to happen, what I'm seeing happening, is that we feel as though us women, we need to carry it all. To carry all the relationship, all the responsibility. Whether you have kids or you don't have kids. Whether you know the person for a short amount of time or you've been with them for 20 years. You seem to be the one initiating conversations, planning, organizing, thinking ahead. You are the one bringing things up when things feel off. Or trying to repair or trying to connect or move things forward. I'm raising my hands on all of those because I've been there. And maybe you feel yourself too in this. And maybe you find yourself thinking, why do I have to ask for everything? Why doesn't he just step in? Why do I feel so alone in this? And at some point, it starts to feel just exhausting. And this is when anger surfaces, when we start saying things maybe we don't really mean. This is when resentment breeds, especially over time when this is not communicated. And usually the underlying belief here is that if I don't do it, say it, it won't get done, or nothing will happen, or things will fall apart. Okay? So what I want to offer for you today is this dynamic or this conflict that you may be going through or feeling. It's not just about your partner. It's about something much deeper. Something that lives in your body, wrapped around your DNA, that triggers your nervous system. It lives in your deepest fears and insecurities. This conversation is really about safety, and it's about power. And that's what we're going to be looking at in this conversation. So I want to share a little bit now about the pattern itself. Okay? So on the surface, we're going to go layers deep, but here we're going to start surface level. What you may be seeing is he's not showing up. Again, I'm using romantic relationships, but you could also use your boss. You can also use your colleague. You can also use your brother, your father, whatever it is. He's not showing up. He's not leading. He's not meeting me. I heard this recently. He's not protecting me. That hit deep. That hit to the real deep fear that many women have back in the Stone Age, when you'd literally fucking die if your man wasn't protecting you against a saber-toothed tiger. You vulnerable as fuck. Let's acknowledge that. Okay? And sometimes that may be true, that your man is not stepping up. Your man is not leading. But where are you not allowing the space, perhaps, for him to step in? To show up? To meet you? That's what I'm interested in looking at here. It's not pointing the blame to your partner. Sure, they have their own responsibility for their own emotional landscape, but that's not up to you to fix or change. What's our responsibility is really getting curious to what is going on in us, what's being triggered, and to be able to hold ourselves and to know that we're good. For most of us, we're not going to die if we speak our truth, if we set our boundaries, if we ask for support, if we let things fall through the cracks a little bit and be a bit messy. Usually nobody's going to die. Okay, but this is a process. The unlearning to rewire and learn a new pattern, a new way of being and relating. Okay? So oftentimes what's behind this pattern, and I'll add in this anxious attachment pattern. If you're familiar with the attachment theories, you may know about this. And I won't go deep into it, but I'm specifically speaking here about the anxious attachment pattern. What's often underlying that is a deep cry for safety, to feel connected, to feel supported. And what's happening is that a lot of women don't trust. And maybe they have good reason. Maybe the man didn't show up. But again, I'm not here to say it's all on you, man. I'm here to say, well, what's your part in this dynamic? How have you not been allowing him to step in and show up? Thus is born the over-functioning, hyper-independent women we see a lot more of here in the modern First World world. And I include myself here. Trying, often unconsciously, to create some sort of safety and predictability in her environment through nagging, controlling, making him feel he's never good enough. Okay? Not allowing him to be in his own power. Okay? So what happens here is that you take initiative. You anticipate needs. You manage the emotional tone of the relationship. Because somewhere along the way, why? It stopped feeling safe not to control, not to relax. It's not safe to relax, to let go, to lean back just even a bit, to be held, to be supported, maybe even to be loved, to be vulnerable. Because when you lean back and you open your arms and your heart, oh shit, you vulnerable woman. Can you lean back on your man? Can you lean back on your teammate? And this is by no means saying that you're going to be a woman laying on her couch for the rest of her life. And if you are, I bow down to you. That is your path. Go for it. But for a lot of the women listening here, you're here to create. You're here to be engaged in life. And of course, there's moments when you're resting, you're relaxing, especially in the cycle of your menstruation, where you're bleeding, where you don't have as much energy. And even if you're not bleeding, you have your moods and your energy and emotions that are fluctuating with the moon. Do you honor your body and your own rhythm? And in those moments, do you allow yourself to be held, to be taken care of? Do you allow yourself to rest, to move at a pace maybe that's more slow? Do you allow yourself quality time with you? Do you allow yourself to be hugged, to be kissed, to be seen, to be witnessed in your vulnerability, in your beauty, in your rawness, in your authenticity? So, anxious attachment, and this is the pattern I'm going to name here, this is really where your nervous system learned to brace for conflict instead of connecting authentically and truthfully. And this really hinders your ability to be intimate in your relationships and to forge that deeper connection that we all actually deeply desire, both men and women. But we're stuck on this surface level power dynamic. So we need to go deeper, weed out the bullshit, integrate the fear in the wound and actually acknowledge it and love it, and rise together in wholeness. Your anxious attachment pattern to try and fix things, to try and control the situation, to try and do everything for your husband, your kids, whatever, your peers, your boss, it's exhausting for you and for them. And it doesn't allow you to feel emotionally regulated and safe. Safe to just be in your body, to just be here, whether you want to do something or whether you want to relax on the couch. Like, how many of us cannot relax? Or when we have the opportunity to relax, like, we want to, our first instinct is to go help your kid that asked you for help right away when you were sitting down for homework, or said, "Mom, I'm hungry," and you just step up and do it for them instead of maybe allowing your husband or your partner to step in. There's so many subtle little ways where we jump out of our bodies because we're so wired to have that connection. And what's going on here again is this safety pattern, this anxious attachment. The hyper-independent woman, the overfunctioning woman is afraid. She's afraid of the abandonment. She's afraid of the conflict. She's the good girl, the good wife. So we're rewiring that right now to become the sovereign woman. Good. Okay, so we're learning to hold ourselves. We're learning to feel this safety and stability within ourselves. We're not going to die. And we're slowly learning to soften soften back into our bodies and to allow ourselves to be met and supported. Okay? So, I want to name this as well. A few limiting beliefs that, again, maybe you're very unconscious, but I'm going to bring them to surface and just feel into them. I'm going to name them out. I've picked the top ones that I felt for myself and that I felt in the women that I mentor. I'm not good enough, or I'm not enough. I'm not lovable. I'm not desirable, just as I am. If I'm not perfect, my partner will leave me. Again, these are generic, but feel for you. Have these shown up for you? Again, they're often unconscious, so just start noticing within you where this limiting belief could be playing out in your life. Another one. I cannot survive alone. Okay. I cannot survive alone. I need to constantly check in to ensure everything is okay. My partner's independence means they don't love me. I cannot feel safe or happy unless I am in a relationship. My happiness is dependent on my partner's mood. If I don't control the situation, I or someone I love will be hurt. Okay, these are a lot of the stories that are underlying our behaviors. And for a lot of them, you've gone completely unconscious to them. Because again, as I mentioned at the beginning, our fear is so wrapped up in our DNA and our bones and crosses lineages. And maybe you're the cycle breaker right now. Just with this mere awareness of your pattern, you get to choose differently. Are you going to be the woman that continuously steps in again and again? That continues holding everything together, but feels exhausted, disconnected, and resentful? Or are you going to create some space for either your partner or life to step in and meet you? But there's deep trust there, right? And to trust, first you need to feel safe in yourself. This is where your spiritual practice comes in. This is where creating your inner sanctuary and your sanctuary in your physical environment where you can reconnect and come back to your center becomes crucial. Okay, because remember, the more you step in, the less space there is for anybody to step in. And the more you step in, the more you may feel alone. And the more resentment you breed. And the more anger, frustration, whatever. Okay, and deep down, the anger is superficial as well because you have the grief. You have the grief, the sadness, the longing, the ache of your heart beneath the anger, beneath the fire. And that's the juice you can get to when you allow yourself to actually feel all the ways that you've been trying to control and hold things together, but to the detriment of authentic connection and intimacy and depth and unity. To revel into the magic and beauty of being in partnership, in relationship, whether you're single and it's a relationship with yourself, whether it's with God, whether it's with your partner. Okay. So here I want to take it an octave deeper into power dynamics. Okay. And what I want to share here is a differentiation from the power that we see a lot outside in the world. Oftentimes, power is depicted as power over someone through domination, control, manipulation, money. But I want to speak to a power that's much deeper. Power deep within yourself. Power in your presence. It's stable. It's unwavering. Power in your energy, in your Shakti. It's creative. It's fluid. It's ever-changing. It can't be contained. It can be directed. Power in your voice. When you choose to speak your truth instead of silencing your needs. Power in your ability to finally fucking recognize your innate worthiness as a woman. Hello. That's really the golden nugget we're getting to. You don't need any validation from outside of you. The love and connection you seek is right here. Should you choose to attune to it and connect with it. So here, I want to offer, there's subtle ways that power gets outsourced in relationships, particularly. And this often happens slowly. One of the ways, I have 4 here. You start deferring to their timing, their mood, their readiness. Everything's on their clock. You maybe silence something you want to say to keep the peace. You minimize a need because it feels too much. Too much to ask for. Too much to be met in that way. You take on more because it feels easier than asking. But at the end, it's imbalance because you give more than you receive. And again, resentment breeds anger, frustration. And the worst of all, over time, you lose connection with yourself and others in the making. So what looks like control on the surface and the woman who has it all together is often a response to feeling unsafe to showing up authentically. Feeling unsafe with allowing things to be a bit messy. Feeling unsafe in the chaos. Feeling unsafe when things are not perfect. Because you were wired to be the good girl with the legs crossed over and speaking only when you're told to speak. Shutting up when you have any ideas. Or you're showing too much skin. Or moving in a way that's provocative. Okay, so if it didn't feel safe to have needs, you'll override them. If it didn't feel safe to rely on someone, you take over. And often this comes back to maybe an absent father. We could look at past generations where men were usually always working. So a lot of women growing up with quote-unquote daddy issues is quite prevalent and is actually something we need to name and take responsibility over. Right? And of course, not for everybody this was the case. Some parents were super present and some fathers were super present. Okay? Maybe it doesn't feel safe to be disappointed. So you lower your expectations or you handle it yourself. And in summary, your nervous system chose the I'll just do it myself mode. Okay? And again, not because you don't truly want to be supported, but because it feels safer than the alternative. And the alternative just is not familiar yet. The support and receiving support and love And voicing your truth and your needs and desires doesn't feel familiar. So the only work we need to focus on is making that familiar. Okay? And right now we're in a very potent time to have this inquiry about power dynamics within you and your relationships. Because Pluto just went retrograde May 6th, and he is in retrograde for 5 months until October 15th, 2026. Pluto, the planet of transformation, death and rebirth. He's deep. This is Hades' archetype. And Hades is like, come here, sunshine. Let me rip this band-aid off. Let me rip the mask off. Let me strip you bare naked so that you can finally see yourself and the truth of who you are. That you can feel your power inside of you. That you can see your own beauty. That you can feel safe even in places that feel dark. So for the 5 months that are coming, we're taking a reflective inward journey. Planets going retrograde always invite us inwards. And for Pluto, it's all about power dynamics. And power for woman is held in her energy, in her sensuality, in her body, in her voice, in her vision, in seeing things that other people can't see, in her intuition. And we also see all the ways we've been overriding it and silencing that and shaming ourselves. We're saying it's too much. They'll never understand. Calling ourselves out on our bullshit. Okay, so notice, where am I giving my power away? Where am I not telling the truth about what I need? Where have I normalized feeling unsupported? Okay. So, power. I shared a bit about the distortive power and a little bit about a woman's power. Reclaiming your power. What is that all about? It's not about becoming dominant or yelling and our needs. It's not about forcing your partner to change. It's about your ability to stay connected to yourself even when it feels uncomfortable. Your power is in your energy, your presence, your groundedness. Your power is it's your ability to trust. To trust that you can hold the potency of your own depths, of your own emotions. That you can also hold the heights of your pleasure. It's your ability to stay connected to your heart, even when what your heart truly needs is maybe to set a boundary because something's been crossed. Or it's to open up. Maybe that doesn't feel familiar to you. That requires vulnerability. Power can look like telling the truth without over-explaining. Letting your needs exist without negotiating them away or dismissing them as not important. Power is in allowing space, silence, to observe, to feel and tune without collapsing into anxiety and clinging and reaching. Texting, calling. This is real power. Or examples of power in action. So, I want to offer us 3 little practices, again, if you feel called to take home with you and implement in your everyday life. Practicing being in your power, especially in relationship. First is very simple. It starts with awareness. Body check-in. When you feel the urge to step in, to fix, to manage, pause. Ground yourself and check in with your body. Take 1 deep breath into the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Even that simple action allows you to be in this moment. Maybe you're sitting down or you're just standing up. Place a hand on your heart or on your womb. On that place where you feel the energy moving. And you could ask yourself out loud, where do I feel this right now? Is there any place in me that is holding tension, feeling restless? Is it the throat? Is it the stomach that's churning? Is it the head that's aching? Is it your womb, your heart? And offering yourself maybe 2 more deep breaths just in that space with your hands, with that touch, that loving connection. Just allow it to soften even slightly. So here are little prompts to get you tuning into where this might be for you. Where do you say it's okay when it's actually not? Where do you tend to step in immediately, maybe unconsciously or automatically, instead of pausing? And actually asking yourself, do I really need to do this? So start noticing slowly where you override yourself. This alone begins to shift something. Okay, the sacred but power pause is the most powerful spiritual practice there is, because this is where you get to cut the pattern. Number 2 I want to offer here is the 10% release. Not 90%, 10%. We're starting baby chunks. Okay? So this is about pausing the impulse to overfunction, to overgive, to overextend yourself, to continue perpetuating that pattern you're used to. Okay? So choose a small area where you usually or normally take over and do a little bit less, just 10%. And notice what comes up for you in your body, maybe your thoughts or the dynamic itself. So for example, you let something be slightly unfinished, or you don't immediately fix or handle it. Let's say you're used to, this is a really simple example, but your kid is always running late for the bus. And you seem to always be telling them, hey, don't forget about the bus. You gotta get to school. And they're like, oh, thanks, Mom. And then they go. But this is always a pattern. Maybe one day you won't say anything and you'll let them maybe miss the bus. What's the worst thing that could happen? They get to school late? So what? So what? Okay, maybe another one. You always clean up your partner's dishes because they just don't like doing the dishes right after, but you have communicated that you really like to have a clean kitchen right after because there's ant problems in the kitchen, and this is a fact. For some reason your husband, because of his wiring, just doesn't clue in. So instead of, and you were always doing the dishes for them, because it's easier, it's faster, I'll do it. Look. Maybe now, doing 10% less is, sure, you can leave them and say, well, he'll notice there'll be ants, but he'll do it. Because you know he does them later on. Or meet yourself halfway and maybe like, no, I don't want to do that. What's more manageable or more realistic for you right now? Maybe it could be just writing a little post-it and putting, please clean the dishes, and that's it. So you don't do it, you just write the thing and you're gone. And he's going to come and be, oh. And he has a satisfaction of being, oh, I've done my dishes. I know these are silly examples, but I'm trying to make it so mundane and so ordinary, because these are the things that compound over time. Okay, and again, most important is how you feel when you're not stepping in fully and you're kind of leaning back and observing. 10% release. The last one is the clear ask. This is when you share your clean, simple truth. And this is really going to take you to your edge, over your edge. Before the resentment builds, this is when you actually voice your truth. Okay, not after you've been holding it in for days, because usually this comes out as reactivity, explosion. But you want to learn to share your truth closer to the situation itself, so it doesn't hold as much of a big charge. And ideally, you want to have done also those two other practices: the pause, the breath, the grounding, the 10% leaning back, the release, and then the clear ask. You don't want to over-explain here. You want to keep it simple, honest, and truthful. So I'm going to share with you here an example. And again, you don't need to use my wording. I want you to feel into what resonates for you. And this is a great time to practice in front of the mirror before you actually share with your partner. So, that didn't feel good to me, for me. I would really love more support here. Or it can sound like, I feel tired of carrying this. I'd like you to step in and help me with da-da-da. Important here, be specific. Do not tell them what they did wrong, or what you think they did wrong, or what you think. There's no projection here. Stay with how you feel and how you would like to be met. Like that, they have a clear directive. Okay? Or else they don't know, ladies. Like, stop thinking that men are gonna be reading our minds. Like, I've heard of this too much. Men are not psychics. Some are, but most men, they're literally, yes, they can take initiative when we allow them to, but oftentimes they need to be told a bit more directly. You don't need to be mean. It's coming from love. It's always coming from heart. This is a teamwork. But don't assume that they know your needs. Okay? And the beauty about these three little practices, so again, the awareness piece of your body checking, your grounding, you're noticing what's going on within you. The 10% release, you're leaning back, you're stopping the pattern of continuously holding everything together and trying to fix things, to the asking what you actually need and sharing your truth. Over time, something new begins to form. There's less urgency, less pressure, more ease in your body, more steadiness inside of you, more intimacy and connection in your relationship. The tone has shifted in the dynamic. Maybe there's mutual respect that's forming. Or maybe you started to lose some for your man. Okay, but again, we need to make sure that we give them space to step in. Okay. So So I want to share just a little closing and a summary of this thematic, and a gentle reminder that this work isn't about becoming a woman who needs less or lowering her standard. This is by no means saying that. If anything, you're raising them and you're allowing your men to meet you as the queen that you are. Because you're with a fucking king. And if you feel as though you're with a knight or somebody that cannot meet you, then the questioning is this a relationship for me? But only you know that. Okay? But oftentimes we notice these power dynamics have shaped the relationship itself. So maybe the man is fine, but it's the way that we have been living out these unconscious wounds and patterns, again, that are wrapped up, the fear in our DNA, the safety, the need for validation, security from outside of us. That's been running the show. But once you're coming into a relationship in wholeness, complete within yourself, let's see how that shifts the dynamics and how your man responds. And usually they respond really well to a woman in her power. Okay. What I want to offer here is this work is about no longer abandoning yourself when you're in a relationship with somebody. It's having your boundaries and knowing when to open up to love, to authentic connection, and yes, to be in the crunchy moments. This is by no means saying that your relationship's going to be all flowers. No. But you're not collapsing under the conflict. You're seeing it as an opportunity to grow together, if that's what you want. Or else you see the conflict as an opportunity to separate. And thus you become one of the perpetuators of this power dynamic. So again, we're not blaming our partners here. They have their own journey. We're focusing on our responsibility, which is within here. So we are learning to build a solid, trusting, and loving relationship with ourselves, where your needs are met, where your voice is heard, where your emotions are validated, and your body is a safe space. And from that place, all other relationships begin to shift, my loves. Because you've learned to strengthen the one that matters most. Okay. All right, we're complete. There are 4 little embodied inquiries that I'll offer you. I'll put them in the show notes in the description. And really don't rush the answer from your mind for these. That's why I call them embodied inquiry, because it's really about letting your body respond as much as your thoughts. Okay? Because again, this deep-rooted work of healing and transformation is stemming from deep wounds stored in our body, in our tissues, in our bones, in our DNA. So the more you're connecting and bringing your awareness inwards into your somatic experience, even just reading these questions and listening to me speak, the more you're able to come into deeper awareness of truth. And that truth is yours to hold. And you get to choose what you do with it. All right. Thank you for being here, for listening, for your presence. I honor each and every one of your journeys. For those that would like to deepen this kind of work with me, I'm offering 2 one-on-one private mentorship containers this summer, 2026, starting in July, for either 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months. And depending on what you're looking for, we can also tailor a container specifically for you. So I'll put the link to the landing page, and there'll be all the information there for you to look at your own time. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you soon.